Today, we're grabbing our digital hard hats and pickaxes because we're heading deep into the world of data mining. We're going to learn how to find those priceless nuggets of insight hidden inside mountains of raw information. You know, this quote from Google's Peter Norvig just hits the nail on the head. He's basically saying that the game changed not just because we got smarter tools, but because the amount of raw material we have to work with exploded. And today, we have a lot of it. I mean, think about it. Every single click, every search, every time you buy something online, it's all creating data. It's this nonstop flood of information that's been growing at a rate that's honestly hard to even wrap your head around. This isn't just a messy pile of info. It's become a new kind of natural resource. And that's really the best way to picture it. A massive, sprawling mountain of raw data. And somewhere, buried deep inside all that digital rock and dirt, are these incredible veins of pure gold, these priceless patterns and insights. So that's the big question, isn't it? You can't just wander into a mine and expect to trip over a gold nugget. No way. You need a process, you need the right tools, and you absolutely need a strategy. And that process, that strategy, is called data mining. This is our playbook. It's the collection of techniques and machinery we use to sift through tons and tons of digital ore to pull out the really valuable stuff. It's the engine driving this whole new digital gold rush. Okay, so what's actually in this miner's toolkit? Let's pop the lid and take a look at the core functions, the specific machines we use to find different kinds of digital gold. So before we get into the specific tools, you gotta understand the two main ways to approach this. Think of it like this. Are you going into the mine with a map that tells you where the gold is? Or are you exploring a brand new cave? With supervised learning, we have a map. We use data we already understand to teach the machine what to look for. With unsupervised learning, we're going in blind, letting the machine explore the data and find interesting patterns all on its own. All right, our first tool is classification. I want you to picture a super high-tech sorter on a fast-moving conveyor belt. This is a classic supervised learning technique, which means we have to train it first. So imagine you've taught a machine what a gold-bearing rock looks like. Now it can sit on that conveyor belt and sort every new rock into one of two piles, gold or waste. That's exactly what classification does. It's the logic that decides if an email is spam or not spam. It's what helps doctors sort through patient data to spot signs of a particular disease. The key thing to remember is the groups or categories are already known ahead of time. Okay, on to our next tool, clustering. Now, if classification was about sorting things into buckets we already knew about, clustering is about discovering the buckets in the first place. This is an unsupervised technique, so we're working without that map. With clustering, we don't give it any predefined categories. We basically just dump all the raw ore into a machine and say, hey, find me some natural groups in here. The machine then looks for similarities and starts putting like with like. This is exactly how companies create customer segments for targeted ads, or how social media sites can suggest people you may know by grouping users with similar profiles and friends. Now let's bring in our detective. This tool is pretty cool because it doesn't just sort or group things. It finds these hidden connections between items that seem totally unrelated. This is called association rule mining, and the classic example is right there. People who buy bread also tend to buy butter. It's all about analyzing huge amounts of data, like store transactions, to find these if this, then that relationships that a human would probably never notice. This is the technique that famously uncovered that people buying diapers on a Friday night were also likely to buy beer. Who knew? Next up in the toolkit is our forecaster. This one is all about using what's happened in the past to predict a specific number in the future. Yeah, I know, an equation, but don't let the math scare you. At its heart, regression analysis is all about modeling the relationship between different factors to predict a continuous value. It's the powerhouse behind things like Zillow's home price estimates or a company's sales forecast for the next financial quarter. It's an incredibly powerful prediction tool. You know, every valuable mine needs good security. So our final tool is the guard at the gate, and its job is to be on constant lookout for anything weird. This is anomaly detection. It's designed specifically to spot the outliers, the data points that just don't belong with the rest. This is absolutely critical for things like flagging a credit card purchase that seems fraudulent or detecting a cyber attack on a company's network. It's all about finding that one strange signal in a sea of otherwise normal noise. So, we've looked at all the tools in the kit. But what happens when we actually put them to work? What does it look like when we really, truly strike gold? Well, the most obvious result is the world you live in every single day online. You know that feeling when your social media feed, your shopping recommendations, your movie suggestions, they all feel like they were made just for you? Well, it's because they were. And this is not a small deal. I mean, look at these numbers. For a giant like Amazon, data mining-driven recommendations are responsible for about a third of all their sales. A third! For Netflix, it's even more staggering. 75% of what people choose to watch comes from their recommendation engine. That is the definition of striking gold. But the payoff isn't just happening on our screens. These same tools are being used to make the real, physical world we live in safer and way more efficient. Take a company like UPS. They use data from sensors on their massive fleet of trucks to predict when a part might fail. This lets them do the maintenance before the truck ever breaks down on the side of the road, saving them millions. And that anomaly detection we just talked about, it's working 24/7 in real time to protect our entire banking system from fraud. So, where is all this heading? Well, the digital mine is only getting bigger, and you better believe our tools are getting a whole lot more powerful. The tools we've been talking about are evolving fast. On the left, you see a simple diagram of a neural network. But on the right, that's a deep neural network with way more layers. These more complex systems are built to chew through just massive amounts of data. And the more data you feed them, the better they get at finding incredibly subtle and incredibly valuable patterns. And this really brings us full circle, perfectly summing up our whole analogy here. The data itself is just the raw potential, right? It's the tools, the data mining techniques that actually unlock all of that value. And that leaves us with one last really important question to think about. Our ability to pull value out of data is getting better at a shocking pace. So as these tools become more powerful and more woven into every part of our lives, we have to ask ourselves, what are the safety rules for this new kind of mine? How do we make sure this incredible new resource is being used responsibly and for the right reasons?